Hello and welcome back to another episode of FM Predict, a series on Football Manager where we let FM predict transfers, manager movements, all that sort of thing. In today's episode, we are focusing on a man who has been the subject of quite a lot of transfer discussion over the past few seasons. It's Kylian Mbappe, obviously at PSG currently. There's been rumblings that he wanted to move to Real Madrid, and he didn't want to move to Real Madrid. He was going to stay with PSG until the end of the season. It's all up in the air a bit. I think he's finally said he's going to stay at PSG until the end of the season. But I thought it'd be interesting to see how things would have went if he had moved to Real Madrid. He might still move to Real Madrid. You never know. It is football. Strange things have happened. But as you can see here, he is still at PSG in game. We've got him set to transfer to Real Madrid on the 1st of July 2023. So we will have a look at how he does individually for Real Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid, you would expect to win trophies throughout his time with them, no matter how long he's with them. So it's more focus on how he's going to do and how he's going to help them win trophies, I would imagine, more so than how many trophies they are going to win. Now, if you like the idea of this video and you're enjoying the series so far, please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss out on any more future FM Predicts videos. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've got any suggestions for videos you'd like to see that FM predicts a player going somewhere or a manager in charge of someone. So here we go, we're at the end of season 1 of Mbappe at Madrid, and we'll run through how he's done in each competition for them. So in the Champions League, he's played 7 times, only scored 2 goals, 1 assist, and an average rating of 7.01. You'd expect him to do a bit better than that in the goals tally, I would say, in the Champions League. But in La Liga, he's managed to get 27 goals and 6 assists in 36 games. So that's quite substantially better than his Champions League performance. A 7.47 average rating as well in that. And in the Spanish Cup, he's got 2 goals and 1 assist in 6 games, 7.3 average rating. Again, you'd probably expect him to do a bit better than that, but I guess it depends who Real Madrid have been put up against in the Spanish Cup. In the Spanish Super Cup, 2 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, a 6.9 average rating. And then for France, in Euros qualifying, he started 7, 1 sub-appearance, 8 goals in those games. So pretty good going. That's more than a goal a game. Or if you take into account his sub-appearance, I guess it's equal to a goal a game and an average rating of 7.47. So overall, in this season, he has played 58 times, 1 sub-appearance, 40 goals, 9 assists and an average rating of 7.38. A 40-goal season is pretty good going, to be fair. But like I said, I would have expected him to do a bit better in maybe the Spanish Cup and the Champions League. Now, I thought we'd take a look at his individual accolades before we take a look at how Real Madrid did themselves. And you can see a lot of him being named in the Spanish First Division Team of the Week. He was shortlisted for 2023 World Footballer of the Year. I can't see anywhere where it says he actually won that, though. He was given the 2023 French Player of the Year award. He has won that in the past whilst playing for PSG, but he beat Benzema and Jules Koundé to that award. He was also named in the France Seasonal Best 11, which you would probably expect him to be. He won a few Player of the Month awards. You can see December, January. I think it's just December and January. No, May as well. He was top scorer in the Spanish First Division ahead of Lewandowski and Mikel Oyarzabal. He won the Spanish League Player of the Year award as well, beating out, interesting, Jack Grealish, who has joined him at Real Madrid, and Alejandro Balde from Barcelona. He was named in the 2024 Spanish First Division Team of the Season as well as plenty of his Real Madrid teammates. He won the Supporters Player of the Year award at Real Madrid, was named in the Seasonal Best 11 at Real Madrid, inducted into the overall Best 11 at Real Madrid as well. And then in terms of competitions for Real Madrid, well, they won the Super Cup, beating Real Sociedad 1-0 in the final. They won the Spanish Cup, beating Barcelona on penalties after a 2-2 draw in the final. And they won La Liga, 2 points clear of Barcelona, to give Kylian his first taste of silverware. A nice little treble for Real Madrid in this season. And on the international stage, he won the Nations League for France, a 2-1 win over Spain in Bari at the end of the previous season. So I think he would have technically still been playing for PSG at this point, but he got a goal in that final as well. And just checking to see how Real Madrid did in the Champions League, and they were knocked out of the Champions League at the round of 16 stage, losing 3-0 on aggregate to Manchester City. A Manchester City side who actually went on to lift the trophy. And at the end of the first season with Real Madrid, Kylian Mbappe embarked on a Euros journey with France, which started with them in the group stage where they had Denmark, Portugal and Scotland to contend with. You can see here they won their group. They only won one game though in the group stage, beating Denmark by 2-1, drawing their other two 0-0 with Portugal and 1-1 with Scotland, but that was enough, 5 points to send them through to the knockout rounds, where in the second round they beat Ireland by 2-1, where in the second round they beat Ireland by 2-1 with Mbappe getting a goal in that game. They beat Italy 3-2 in the quarter-final with Mbappe scoring again. They absolutely demolished the Netherlands, Mbappe getting a hat-trick in the semi-final, but then lost out in the final to a team that they played in the group stage of the competition and actually drew with in the group stage of the competition. It ended 1-1 after 90 minutes, but Cristiano Ronaldo stepping up in extra time to get Portugal another European Championships and consign France to runners-up. So now on to Mbappe's second season with Real Madrid, and we'll kick things off with the Champions League once again. And this is looking a lot healthier than the previous season. So 14 games played suggests they may have even made it all the way to the final. We'll have a check on that in a little bit. 10 goals scored in those 14 games, 3 assists, an average rating of 7.83. That's a vast improvement from Mbappe in the Champions League. In La Liga, 36 games played. That's the same amount as last season, I think. 20 goals scored, 10 assists, and an average rating of 7.7. That's a number of goals and assists to help out there. In the Spanish Cup, 5 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 2 goals, 2 assists. Average rating of 7.73 isn't too bad. In the Spanish Super Cup, he barely played. He had a sub-appearance, no goals or assists, and a 6.6 rating. And then for France, in the World Cup qualifiers, he played twice, scoring 3 times and getting 1 assist with an average rating of 8.9. In the Nations League, he played 6, scored only once, but got 3 assists and an average rating of 7.6. So overall for season 2, 63 starts, 2 sub-appearances, 36 goals. Not as good as last year. I'm pretty sure he got 40 goals in his first season, so a bit of a drop off there, but a lot more assists, 19 assists this year, and an average rating of 7.74. Now, in terms of personal awards, there's a lot more being added here. So he came 3rd place in the Best Player in Europe award at the back end of the previous season. He won the European Golden Shoe for 23-24 as well. The Euros Golden Boot, he won, scoring 7 goals in the competition, beating out the likes of Alvaro Morata and Jens Odgaard. Denmark doing surprisingly well in the Euros, or at least Odgaard doing well. He was 3rd placed in the Goal 50 Best Players on the Planet award, only losing out to Lewandowski and Salah. He won World Player of the Year, was named in World Team of the Year. He won French Player of the Year yet again for the 2nd year running. And he won World Footballer of the Year as well for the first time. And then for the season that's just finished, he won Spanish League Player of the Year for the 2nd season in a row. He was runner-up in the Top Scorer Awards, only losing out by a goal to Barcelona's Robert Lewandowski, and he won the Real Madrid Supporters Player of the Year award for the 2nd year in a row too. In terms of competitions, we obviously know he was runners-up with France in the Euros. For Real Madrid, they won the Spanish Super Cup on penalties after drawing in 90 minutes. And interestingly, Harry Kane has joined Real Madrid, so maybe that's the reason why Mbappe hasn't got as many goals this year. They won the Spanish Cup again as well, beating Barcelona after a 2-2 draw, winning eventually on penalties. It was Kane and Mbappe with the 2 goals to get things back level for Real Madrid after going 2 goals down early in the first half, and both Kane and Mbappe scored their penalties in the shootout as well. They won La Liga for the 2nd season in a row as well, 3 points clear of Atletico this time. And in the Champions League, they finished runners-up to defending champions Manchester City. It was Haaland who scored their 2 goals, Tchouaméni with the 1 goal for Real Madrid. Mbappe playing the final, getting a 7.1 rating, but not enough to pick up the winner's medal. Now into his 3rd season with Real Madrid. In the Champions League, Mbappe played 14 games again, scoring only 4 goals this time though, with 3 assists, so a bit of a downgrade on last year, but still getting a 7.87 average rating. I'm assuming he's playing as a winger now with Harry Kane at Real Madrid, so you'd expect him to be getting less goals. But then in La Liga, playing 36 games yet again, 26 goals scored, 11 assists as well, and an average rating of 7.99. Pretty sure that's an improvement in terms of goals in that competition. In the Spanish Cup, 5 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 3 goals, 1 assist, average rating of 7.75. Spanish Super Cup, 2 games, 3 goals, and an average rating of 8.3, so that's a lot better in the Spanish Super Cup. And then in World Cup qualifying for France, he got a goal a game, 10 games played, 10 goals scored, 3 assists, and an average rating of 8, which is very good going. So altogether, for his 3rd season as a Real Madrid player, I think that's the most number of goals he's scored, although it is more games than in the season where he scored 40 goals. So 46 goals in 67 starts and 1 sub appearance, 18 assists, and an average rating of 7.96. So since the previous season, he won the 24-25 season Best Player in Europe award. He won the 24-25 World Golden Ball award, beating out Phil Foden and Haaland. He was the winner of the 24-25 Goal 50, where I think he came third place the previous season. He was the runner-up for the World Footballer of the Year and the World Player of the Year, but he was named French Player of the Year yet again for a third season in a row. He won the 25-26 La Liga Player of the Year award as well, and reclaimed his crown for top scorer in La Liga too, with 26 goals, beating out second place Mikel Oyarzabal, who only had 21 goals. He won 25-26 season Player of the Season in the Champions League as well, and for the third season in a row he picked up the Real Madrid Supporters Player of the Year award, and he was also named Best Player in Europe for 25-26. Now in terms of competitions, well, we've got the Club World Cup, or the Club World Championship as it's called here, and Real Madrid went on to win that one. Let's have a look at the final. Beating Bayern in the final by 2-0 after extra time. And it was Harry Kane who got a brace to pick up that trophy for them. And then in the season just gone, they won the standard things that they seem to always win. They won the Super Cup, the Spanish Super Cup, 3-2 over Barcelona. Mbappe getting 2 goals in that final, and making sure that he makes it 3 seasons in a row for winning the Spanish Super Cup. He's also made it 3 seasons in a row for winning the Spanish Cup, beating Villarreal on penalties after a 2-2 draw, where Mbappe scored the opening goal and scored a penalty in the shootout. And he's made it 3 seasons in a row for winning the La Liga title as well. This time a hell of a way clear of second place Barcelona, 13 points clear of them, and Mbappe is enjoying life in Madrid as you'd expect him to. But then in the Champions League, still no Champions League title, yet again losing 2-1 to Manchester City in the Champions League final. Mbappe getting a goal in the final this time, but it wasn't enough. Haaland and Vinicius Jr., former Real Madrid player of course, with enough firepower to get Manchester City over the line for what would be their third Champions League in a row, I think. And then at the end of that season, it was the World Cup. So France were in a group with Mali and Paraguay, and they won both of their games, beating Mali 3-2 and Paraguay by 1-0. In the second round, France beat Egypt by 2-0. Mbappe having a goal disallowed, but no goals in that game that counted. But then in the third round, France were knocked out by Germany by 3-0. Mbappe playing, but not playing very well, with a 6.5. So we're here at the end of Kylian Mbappe's 4th season with Real Madrid, and in the Champions League he played 12 games this time around, scoring 7, 2 assists, an average rating of 7.65. In La Liga, 36 games played if you include the 1 sub appearance, 22 goals, 9 assists, and an average rating of 7.66. So he scored a few less goals this season and a couple less assists as well, but still good numbers. In the Spanish Cup, they played 6 games. He scored 4 goals, 1 assist, an average rating of 7.28. This is the most goals he's scored in a Spanish Cup since signing for Real Madrid. And in the Spanish Super Cup, he couldn't recreate the heroics of the 3 goals he scored last season, but he still did get on the score sheet with 1 goal in 2 games and an average rating of 8.6. And then for the national team in the Nations League, he played 6, scored 3, 1 assist, average rating of 7.23, and in Euros qualifying, played 2, no goals, 2 assists, and an average rating of 7.7. So Kylian has won the World Golden Ball for the 2nd season in a row. He's also won Goal 50 for the 2nd season in a row. He was named 2026 World Footballer of the Year, taking that crown from Erling Haaland, who finished 2nd. He was 2026 French Player of the Year, winning that award for the 4th season in a row. And he was 2026 World Player of the Year, also taking that crown from 2nd place Erling Haaland. He won the 26-27 award for Spanish First Division Player of the Year for the 4th season running. Finishes runner-up in the top scorer charts for La Liga this season though, losing out to Belay Dia, who scored 24 goals in 35 games compared to Mbappe's 22 in 36. He won the Real Madrid Supporters Player of the Year once again for the 26-27 season. He's won that every single season he's been at Real Madrid so far. And he won the 26-27 Best Player in Europe award for the 3rd season in a row. And in terms of competitions for Real Madrid, well, they've done the domestic treble again. They've won the Spanish Super Cup, beating Villarreal by 2-1 after extra time. Mbappe scoring in that final, getting the opening goal. And then Ferran Torres with what ended up being the winner very late on. Well, very early on in extra time. In the Spanish Cup, it wasn't until extra time when the deadlock was broken, but it was broken by Harry Kane with a goal on the 102nd minute and a 1-0 win over Barcelona. And then in La Liga, once again, Real Madrid champions, 9 points clear of second place Barcelona. And then in the Champions League, they were knocked out by Liverpool, a 1-1 draw at home in the first leg, but a 2-1 defeat away at Anfield would send them out of the competition at the quarter-final stage. So still no Champions League winners medal for Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid, but maybe he'll get that next season. And just before we get into Mbappe's 5th season with Real Madrid, we have the little tournament of the Nations League to deal with. So at the back end of the previous season, France came up against Portugal in the semi-finals and were battered by 3-0. Mbappe having a terrible game with a 6.6. They then faced Germany in the playoff, the third place playoff, and Mbappe got the opening goal in a 2-0 victory to mean that France finished third place in the Nations League. So here we are at the end of Mbappe's 5th season with Real Madrid, and we kick things off with the Champions League. So 12 games played in the Champions League, 4 goals, 1 assist, an average rating of 7.33. A bit of a decrease on the 7 goals and 2 assists from the previous season in the Champions League, but not his worst performance for Real Madrid in the Champions League. Then we have La Liga, where he played 37 times. I think that's the most he's ever played in La Liga for Real Madrid, but he only scored 19 goals, his lowest ever total in a season in La Liga, 8 assists and then an average rating of 7.74. That isn't, however, his lowest number of assists in a season in La Liga. That is 6 from his first season with Real Madrid, so he's still got a couple more than that season. He did, however, have his best season in the Spanish Cup, playing 6 times if you include the 2 off the bench, scoring 5, no assists, but a 7.42 average rating, beating his previous best goals total at least by 1 goal. And then in the Spanish Super Cup, it was 1 game played, no goals or assists, 6.9 rating. And for France, in the European Championship qualifying, he played 8 times, 1 off the bench, 9 goals, 5 assists and 7.97 average rating. So a pretty decent time of it with the national team. Now for personal awards, and he won the World Golden Ball Award for the 3rd year in a row. He also won the Goal 50 for the 3rd year in a row. He came 3rd in the World Footballer of the Year award, though, losing his crown to Bukayo Saka, who won, and then Erling Haaland coming 2nd. Saka, incidentally, at Manchester City alongside Haaland. And for the first time in 5 seasons, he did not win the French Player of the Year award. That went to his teammate Aurelien Tchouameni instead. Could we be seeing the drop-off in Mbappe's form for Real Madrid? He did, however, win the Supporters Player of the Year award once again. He also won Spanish League Player of the Year for the 5th season in a row. And despite having a much lower goals total compared to previous seasons, he won the Top Scorer award in La Liga, finishing 2 goals ahead of second place Enes Unal of Getafe. And in terms of Real Madrid, well, they've had a bit of a shocking year. Only the Spanish Cup in their trophy cabinet for this season. That was a 2-1 win after extra time over local rivals Atletico Madrid. And Mbappe was not on the score sheet for this one. He did play, he got a 7.3 rating, but no goals from him. So let's see how they did in the other competitions. Well, I can see here in the Super Cup, they were knocked out by Barcelona 2-1 in the semi-finals. So no Spanish Super Cup. And in the Champions League, they were knocked out of the quarter-final stage for the 2nd season in a row. They were 2-1 ahead heading into their 2nd leg at the Bernabeu, but they lost 2-1 in that 2nd leg and then lost the subsequent penalty shootout. And it looks like Mbappe missed the 2nd leg of that one, so I'm wondering if he actually got an injury, and that's why... Well, no, because he played quite a few games, didn't he? He played 37 games. That can't be the reason why he didn't get as many goals. Yeah, no, he didn't have any injuries in this past season. And then La Liga, for the first time in 5 years, heading away from Real Madrid, they lost out to the league title to Barcelona by 3 points. And then it was time for the European Championship. So it was Euro 2028. Ignore the top of the screen, that's just been updated because we're past Euro 2028 now. And France were drawn in Group D alongside Serbia, Wales and Bosnia and Herzegovina. And as you would expect, they picked up all 3 wins out of the possible 3, beating Serbia 3-1, Wales by a 1-0 and Bosnia and Herzegovina by 3-0. In the 2nd round, they came up against Austria and beat them 2-0. Mbappe with both goals for the national team in this one. Then in the quarter-final, he was on the score sheet once again to get the opening goal in a 2-1 victory over Ukraine. He didn't really make his mark on the semi-final where France won 2-0 against Norway. Mbappe on the bench for that one, a 6.7 rating. He did come on on the field, but didn't really have much of an effect. And then in the Euros final, he started the game up front. He got a 7.4 rating and he got an assist for the one and only French goal, but it was a 2-1 victory for Germany, meaning France were runners-up in the Euros, and also meaning that they couldn't hold on to their title. Obviously, they won Euro 2024. And he also won the top scorer award in the Euros back in 2024, but he couldn't do it in 2028. Erling Haaland beating him to that top scorer award by 2 goals. Erling with 7 goals in 6 appearances, and Mbappe with 5 goals in 7 appearances. So it's the end of season 6 for Mbappe at Real Madrid, and he has played 13 times in the Champions League, 9 goals, 5 assists, an average rating of 7.78. And this is by far and away his best season, at least for goals. 9 goals scored. That's 2 goals better than a couple of seasons ago when he got 7, and it's 5 goals more than last season. However, in La Liga, he has played the lowest number of games that he's played in a league campaign for Real Madrid since joining them. 32 games played, which meant only 18 goals scored, 12 assists, and an average rating of 7.75. That 18 goal total for a league campaign is now his lowest total for a league campaign, but the assist mark of 12 assists in a league campaign is his highest. And in the Spanish Cup, he played 6 times and he had 9 goal contributions altogether, 4 goals, 5 assists, an average rating of 8.22. This is the highest number of goal contributions that he's had in the Spanish Cup in a season. And then in the Spanish Super Cup, played twice, 0 goals or assists, an average rating of 7.15, not his best. For France, in the World Cup qualifying section, he played twice, scoring once and getting an average rating of 7.1. And in the Nations League, he made 4 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 1 goal, 1 assist, and an average rating of 7.08. Now for his personal awards, and he dropped down to 3rd place in the Goal 50 award, losing out to Bukayo Saka of Man City and his teammate Aurelien Tchouameni. He did, however, reclaim his title as World Footballer of the Year from Bukayo Saka, but only made it to 3rd place in World Player of the Year, losing out to both Saka and Erling Haaland. But then again, he did reclaim his French Player of the Year award, winning it back from Tchouameni, who came 2nd. La Liga Player of the Year award went to Mbappe for another year. He has won it every single time. I'm sure I've said this plenty of times through this video, but he's won it every single season that he's been at Real Madrid. However, in the Golden Boot for La Liga, he only made it to 3rd place, being knocked off top spot by Thiago Tomas of Atletico Madrid, who scored 22 goals, and in 2nd was Mateus Nascimento of Real Sociedad, who got 21 goals. Obviously Mbappe with just the 18 in the league after not many appearances compared to previous seasons. He was also runner-up in the Champions League Golden Boot, losing out to Abel Ruiz of FC Porto, who got 10 goals in 9 games. Mbappe, of course, with 9 goals in 13 games. He won the Real Madrid Supporters Player of the Year award once again. That seems to be nailed on for him to win every single season now. And he also won the 28-29 Best Player in Europe award, reclaiming that crown from Bukayo Saka, who doesn't even make the top 3 this time round. Mbappe joined by Vinicius Jr. of Man City and Erling Haaland of Man City in the top 3 of that. And in terms of competitions, Real Madrid finishing runners-up in the Spanish Super Cup, this time out to Barcelona, drawing 2-2 after normal time, but then losing it on penalties. Every single Real Madrid player missed their penalty, including Kylian Mbappe. In the Spanish Cup, it was a similar story, getting all the way to the final, but losing out to Sevilla this time, quite comprehensively, losing 3-0 to Sevilla. They did, however, reclaim their La Liga title, winning it 8 points clear of Barcelona in 2nd. And then in the Champions League final, it's a final we've seen so many times in this video, and Real Madrid losing out to Manchester City once again by a 1-0 this time. Now, I was intrigued to see if Mbappe had picked up any injuries this season, given the fact that he only played 32 times in the league, and he did pick up a groin strain in an international match against Switzerland, which kept him out for 3 weeks, so that kind of explains that number of games that he played being a bit lower than normal. And in the Nations League, France in the semi-finals beating the Netherlands after a 2-2 draw in normal time, taking it to penalties and winning that. Mbappe getting the opening goal of the game. But then in the final against England, France went a goal down to Saka, Tell equalised, but then in penalty shootout, it was England that came up victorious. A 3-0 penalty shootout victory for England, and Mbappe and France runner-up in the Nations League once again. Season 7, and in the Champions League, Mbappe playing 12 games again, 6 goals, 1 assist, an average rating of 7.19. In La Liga, playing 37 times, 2 off the bench, 17 goals, which is now his lowest goals total for a league campaign, and 12 assists, which matches the record from the previous season, alongside a 7.7 average rating in La Liga. In the Spanish Cup, only 4 games played, which suggests Real Madrid didn't do too well in that tournament this year, but we'll find out about that in a little bit. 2 goals, 1 assist, and an average rating of 7.97. And then in the Spanish Super Cup, 2 games played, 1 goal, 0 assist, and an average rating of 6.8. For France, in the World Cup qualifying section, he played 7 times, scoring 9 and assisting 4 for an average rating of 8.04. Now that is collectively his worst performing season in terms of goal output for Real Madrid. 26 goals in a season, beating his previous worst of 28 from a couple of seasons ago. He did, however, manage to regain the World Golden Ball award, beating out the likes of Vinicius Jr. and Bukayo Saka to win that. He won the Goal 50 award as well, reclaiming that from Bukayo Saka. He was runner-up in the World Footballer of the Year award, losing out to Bukayo Saka this time, with Phil Foden coming in 3rd. And then he came 3rd in the World Player of the Year award, losing out again to Phil Foden, who actually won it, and Bukayo Saka, who finished 2nd. But he still won the 2029 French Player of the Year award, beating out his teammate Tchouaméni and Man City player Camavinga. He won the Supporters Player of the Year award once again. You knew that was coming. He's won it every single year. And then he also won La Liga Player of the Year once again. Every year since he's been at Real Madrid, he's won this one too. 2nd place was Pedri. 3rd place was Rafa Leao, who now plays for Real Madrid. So the Club World Championship happened just before the season that we looked at just then. And Real Madrid were drawn in the group against Monaco and Flamenco, and Real Madrid won that group. They drew 2-2 with Flamenco and beat Monaco 2-1 to give themselves 4 points and send themselves through to the knockout stages, where in the quarter-final they faced Liverpool and they won 2-0. No goals for Mbappe in that, although he was playing that game. A 6.5 rating is pretty terrible for him. And then Real Madrid were knocked out by Manchester United in the semi-final. A Rodrigo goal, the only goal of the game. So then in the 3rd place playoff, Real Madrid against Barcelona, a battle of the league, La Liga giants, and it was Real Madrid that came out on top after penalties, a 1-1 draw after 90 minutes. They went and lifted the Spanish Super Cup for the first time in a few seasons. No goal input from Mbappe and a pretty poor 6.2 rating. Gabriel Jesus has signed for Real Madrid as well in the meantime. And they made it a domestic cup double with a 3-2 victory after extra time over Sevilla in the Spanish Cup final. Once again, no goals from Mbappe, and it looks like he didn't even play. Was he on the bench? He was on the bench, but he wasn't used in the final. So in the Champions League this season, they beat Arsenal 1-0 in the first leg of the round of 16, Mbappe getting the only goal of that game, but then they ended up losing 2-0 at the Emirates to Arsenal and being knocked out. And then in La Liga, what a season that is. Barcelona and Real Madrid both getting up to that 100-point mark, and Real Madrid missing out by 1 point to Barcelona, who regained their La Liga title after giving it to Real Madrid for a season. Mbappe also missing out on the top 3 of the La Liga Top Goal Scorer Award for possibly the first time. Then in World Cup 2030, France drawn in a group against Mali and Syria, and they won both of their games, beating Mali 2-1 and Syria by 4-0, advancing through to the knockout rounds. And in the second round, they were drawn against Jamaica, and Mbappe thought he'd given France an early lead on 8 minutes, but it was disallowed, and then he did help to get the one and only goal of the game for Camavinga, and Mbappe getting an assist for Camavinga, as France beat Jamaica by 1-0. In the third round, Mbappe on the score sheet, getting France's 2nd goal of the game in a 2-0 victory over Mexico, but he did miss a penalty late on. Well, not late on, early in the second half as well. It was a big game between France and Argentina in the quarterfinals, and it was Mbappe that scored the only goal of the game from the penalty spot to give France a win and send them through to the semis. And it was Belgium that France came up against in the semi-finals, and after a 2-2 draw, after 90 minutes and extra time, it went to penalties, and it doesn't look like Mbappe actually played this game. No, he had no appearance in the semi-final, but France won the semi-final anyway against Belgium. And then in the final, it was hosts Spain against France, and Spain were the eventual winners. Mbappe not getting on the score sheet, not getting an assist either, in a 2-1 defeat after extra time. So a bit of an improvement in the Champions League in Mbappe's 8th season, is it? It is. It's his 8th season. And he played less games this season than the previous one, 10 games played, but scored more goals, 7 goals, 2 assists, average rating of 7.82. In La Liga, however, This is his lowest number of appearances in the La Liga campaign, 27 appearances, 10 goals, 12 assists. Still kept up the 12 assist mark though. He has had 12 assists, if you include this season, in his past 3 seasons in La Liga. 7.71 average rating as well as that. And then in the Spanish Cup, 6 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, a 7.63 average rating. And in the Spanish Super Cup, 2 games played, 1 goal, no assists, 7.4 rating. Then for France, in the Nations League, 2 games played, no goals or assists, a 6.75 average rating. And then in Euros qualifying, 2 games played and a massive 6 goals. They must have been playing against someone very easy for him to get 6 goals with his current goal scoring form, and an average rating of 8.7. So we have a new low when it comes to total number of goals scored in a season for Real Madrid, with 20 scored this season for Kylian Mbappe. He is heading towards the end of his career. I think he's about 32 years old now, so you would expect a bit of a drop-off. He's 33. He's 33 years old, actually. But that did not stop him from getting the 2030 World Footballer of the Year award, beating Erling Haaland and Pedri to that award. Obviously, this is for 2030, so that includes some of the previous season. He came runner-up in the World Player of the Year award, losing out to Pedri, and he won the French Player of the Year award for a 7th time, and once again won La Liga's Player of the Year despite only playing 26 times, and again won Real Madrid's Supporters Player of the Year too. In terms of competitions for Real Madrid, you can see here Spanish Super Cup winners again beating Barcelona in the final on penalties after a 1-1 draw in normal time. Mbappe playing that game, getting a 7 rating. And then in the Spanish Cup, you can see they also won that, also beating Barcelona, also on penalties after a 2-2 draw this time. Mbappe once again playing a 7.4 rating in that one, but no goals or assists and not even a penalty in the shootout. So where does that leave Real Madrid in the Champions League? Well, they faced Bayern in the quarter-finals. They lost 3-1 in the first leg, and then they managed to win the second leg by 1-0 with Mbappe actually scoring a goal, but it wasn't enough, and they were knocked out of the Champions League. And then in La Liga, they missed out once again by 4 points this time to Barcelona. And Mbappe did have a pretty serious injury, actually. That could explain the massive decrease in number of games played. He had a hip injury, which he picked up in training on the 13th of August, and that kept him out for 2 months. And then at the end of that season, it was the Nations League time once again, and France had Portugal in the semi-finals, and thanks partially to Kylian Mbappe, who scored a penalty in this game, they ended up winning by 3-2 and sealing their place in the final of the Nations League. And then in that final, they came up against Germany in Germany and somehow won by 2-0. Mbappe playing but not getting a goal, a 6.9 rating. And France are Nations League champions. Mbappe has won the Nations League, I think, for the first time. No, he's won the Nations League for the second time. They won it in 2023 as well. Just check my notes. So his 9th season in the bag for Real Madrid. And in the Champions League, he played 11 games, but he only scored once and got 2 assists, an average rating of 7.36. That now levels his worst Champions League campaign for goal contributions for Real Madrid, which is also 3. It was in his first season with Real Madrid where he scored 2 and got 1 assist. He also equals his joint lowest total number of goals in a La Liga campaign with 27 appearances, 10 goals and 8 assists. That's 4 assists down from the previous season and an average rating of 7.51. So his ratings are still up there. He's still contributing sort of to goals. I just don't think he's contributing as much to the success of Real Madrid as he was previously. And it's quite interesting that, obviously I've not looked at the competitions won for this season, but it's quite interesting that since he's not contributed as much, they've not won as many league titles. Well, they've not won any league titles in a couple of seasons, and they've just mainly won the Spanish Cup and the Spanish Super Cup. In the Spanish Cup, he played 4 times, he got 3 goals, 3 assists, an average rating of 8.57, and then in the Spanish Super Cup, he played once, he got 1 assist and a rating of 8.2. Still playing for France in the Euros qualifiers, he played 6 times, scoring 10 goals, so still scoring substantial amount for France, and 1 assist and an average rating of 8.17. And that now means that this is his record low total for number of goals scored in a season for Real Madrid. But he's still 5 clear of the record low of his first season with Real Madrid, where he got 9 assists. You're obviously getting 14 assists in this campaign. Now, I thought I'd take a look at his injuries first off in this one, and there's 2 major ones there. A torn pectoral kept him out for 5 weeks in mid-September, and then a calf strain in late March kept him out for 4 weeks. So that explains some of the lack of game time. But like I've said a couple of seasons ago, maybe even last season, he's getting on a bit now. He's 34 years old. Some of his attributes are still pretty decent. His 19 finishing and first touch, particular standouts, but you'd expect him to be dropping off at this point anyway. Not sure if I mentioned this in the end of the previous season, but he won Best Player in Europe award for the 30-31 season. He also won the 30-31 World Golden Ball Award and the 30-31 Goal 50. He made it to third place in the World Footballer of the Year award in 2031, losing out to Haaland and Saka, the usual suspects. And then obviously picked up the French Player of the Year award, beating Eduardo Camavinga and Matthias Tell. And then in this current season that's just ended, he did not win La Liga Player of the Year. For the first time since moving to La Liga, he was beaten out this time by Ansu Fati of Barcelona and Dusan Vlahovic, also of Barcelona. Obviously, lack of game time. I was going to say a lack of game time hindering Mbappe there, but he played a similar number of games to Fati and Vlahovic. And then he won the Real Madrid Supporters Player of the Year award as well. If he doesn't win any other award in the season, he's pretty much guaranteed to win that one. And as I mentioned, Real Madrid's success has fallen off a bit since Mbappe's not had as much of an impact in terms of getting his goals and assists and playing, as Real Madrid lost the Spanish Cup final to Barcelona by 3-1. Mbappe, did he even make an appearance off the bench? He didn't. This might have been in one of his injury periods, but this is the only final Real Madrid got to this season. So in the Spanish Super Cup, they were knocked out by Villarreal at the semi-final stage after drawing 1-1. After 90 minutes, it went to a penalty shootout. Mbappe played this game. He scored in the shootout, but they ended up losing that penalty shootout. And then in the Champions League, they made it all the way to the semi-finals, to be fair to them. Mbappe played in the first leg where it was a 2-2 draw at the Santiago Bernabeu, but then at the Allianz, it was a Bayern Munich 1-0 win, and Mbappe playing again. 7 rating is decent, but wasn't enough to get them through to a Champions League final. And now La Liga, I'm assuming, is going to have been won by Barcelona again. And it has, by some way as well. 103 points from Real Madrid's 85 points. So that's an 18-point gap as Barcelona pick up their 3rd league title in a row. Now, obviously, this was a international tournament summer at the end of this season. So it was the Euros, Euro 2032, and France were drawn in the group against Austria, Serbia and Albania and finished top of that group with a 100% record, beating Serbia 2-1 and both Austria and Albania by a 0-0. In the second round, Mbappe helped France to a 4-0 win after getting a hat-trick against Ukraine. But in the quarter-finals, there was nothing Mbappe could do as France drew 2-2 after 90 minutes in extra time and lost on the penalty shootout. Belgium through to the next round, France knocked out. So now for his 10th season with Real Madrid, and Mbappe played 12 games in the Champions League this season, one more than the previous season, and scored 7 goals as well, which is a vast improvement on the previous season where he only got 1 goal. An average rating of 7.37 as well in the Champions League. And then in La Liga, he played a hell of a lot more games this year, 36 games played, still only 7 goals. I'm assuming he's being played as a winger. That is the only explanation for that. 17 assists as well would add some credence to that. 7.57 average rating. And in the Spanish Cup, 5 games played, no goals or assists, bit disappointing. 7.32 average rating though, so he still played well. And in the Spanish Super Cup, 2 games played, 1 goal, no assists, and an average rating of 7.55. Now for France, in the World Cup qualifiers, he played once, no goals or assists, and a rating of 7.1. And in the Nations League, he played 3 times, 2 goals, and an average rating of 7.33. So that means a bit of an improvement in number of goals scored, definitely 1 more goal than last season, I think. And then also 3 more assists compared to last season. And you can see there was no real major injuries from this year as well, which has helped him. So he actually won the Golden Boot for France at the Euros, 5 goals in 5 games. He scored the same number of goals as the second place player, who's Roberto Piccoli, but because Piccoli had played a game more, Mbappe won the award. And for the first time, he was not nominated for World Footballer of the Year, World Player of the Year, anything like that. He came second. No, he didn't. He came 3rd in French Player of the Year, losing out to Camavinga and Tchouameni. So the drop-off is real now for 35-year-old Kylian Mbappe, as you would expect. And you can see there his positions listed as left winger as well, so he's playing on the wing a bit more. He was playing up front a little bit from what we saw in previous seasons. He has, however, in the season that's just ended, won La Liga Player of the Year award, beating out Garancinia, who is a regen or new gen at Barcelona, and he won the Supporters Player of the Year award once again. I feel like that is just ingrained into him. So has Mbappe's slight increase in goal contributions helped? Well, Real Madrid won the Spanish Super Cup, Mbappe scoring in the final against Barcelona as they ended up winning 3-1. They made it to the final of the Spanish Cup as well, but lost to Barcelona in that final. Mbappe not having any goal involvement there, but still getting a 7.2 rating. And they won La Liga for the first time in 4 seasons, beating Barcelona by 3 points to regain that title. But then in the Champions League, they were drawn against Bayern in the round of 16 this time round, losing 2-1 in the first leg and winning 1-0 in the second leg, but then losing out in the penalty shootout that followed. Season 11 now, and 12 games played in the Champions League once more. Only the 3 goals this time around, a bit of a decrease from the 7 scored last season, and then 7 assists with an average rating of 7.58 in La Liga, 30 games played, which is a bit of a drop off from last season. He did score more goals though, 13 goals scored, just 6 more than the previous season. But then 7 assists is 10 less than the previous season as well, and an average rating of 7.55. In the Spanish Cup, he played 4 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, average rating of 7.53, and in the Spanish Super Cup, 2 games, 1 goal, no assists, and an average rating of 7.5, which takes his total to 19 goals and 15 assists for the season, which is back up to pretty decent numbers, I would say. You can see no international football there. I think he's retired. Well, it doesn't say anything here about him actually retiring from international football, but he does say he plans to retire, I'm assuming that's just entirely from football, on the 12th of June this season. So this is his final season with Real Madrid, at least as a player. So he was back in with a shout for World Player of the Year in 2033, finishing 3rd behind Haaland and Andre Alves. He won the French Player of the Year award, regaining that from Eduardo Camavinga, who came 2nd. And his record of being constantly La Liga Player of the Year has gone, but he didn't have that record anymore because Fati took that a couple of seasons ago, but he did lose the title of La Liga Player of the Year to Garancinia of Barcelona. He did still win Supporters Player of the Year for Real Madrid though. Then in terms of competitions, Real Madrid winning the Club World Championship 2-1 in the final against Manchester City. Mbappe playing and getting an assist in that game as well with 7.6 rating. He also played the Spanish Super Cup final, scoring Real Madrid 2nd in that game as they beat Barcelona by 2-1. And he also helped Real Madrid to another La Liga title in his final season with the club, finishing on 101 points, 7 points clear of Barcelona. And in the Champions League, it was quarter-finals once again against his former club, Kylian Mbappe, getting a 7.6 rating in the first leg, losing 2-1, and then in the second leg, winning 2-1. And then in the second leg, winning 2-1, a 7.5 rating in this one, but they lost out on penalties in the penalty shootout, which means Kylian Mbappe has failed to win the Champions League in his entire career. That is insane if that happens in real life. But that is it for the career of Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid. So he stays at Real Madrid if he signs for them until the end of the 2034 season when he decides to retire. So his entire career after PSG is in Madrid. He won, this is going to include some PSG trophies. So in his entire career, he won 38 competitions. He won the Spanish Super Cup 8 times between 2024 and 2034. The Spanish Cup 7 times. He won the Club World Championship with Real Madrid twice. He won the Nations League with France 3 times if you include the one in real life, and La Liga he won 7 times as well. Pretty good going. Lots of personal awards as well, winning World Player of the Year twice, French Player of the Year 11 times. He won the European Golden Shoe. He won World Football of the Year on 4 occasions, La Liga Player of the Year on 9 occasions, La Liga Top Goal Scorer 3 times, Best Player in Europe 5 times, European Championship Golden Boot twice, Goal 50 on 5 occasions, World Golden Ball winner on 5 occasions, and Champions League Player of the Season as well. A whole host of things in Kylian Mbappe's career. What a career it is. His finishing's gone up since the last time I looked. It's up at 20 now. It was 19 before. So he could arguably do even more. But if we look at his career stats, actually that screen was probably a bit better if we take my face away. He's played twice the number of games, more than twice the number of games than he did for PSG. And his goal scoring effort isn't as good, to be fair, 189 goals, but he has been playing as a winger quite a lot of the time at Real Madrid. His best season for goals across all competitions for Real Madrid was his third season, where he got 36 goals in all competitions for club and 15 assists. You can see even just here, looking at his league form, that is the second highest number of league goals in a season that he did for Real Madrid with 26, and joint third highest number of assists as well. Lots of player of the match awards, the most player of the match awards in fact. So I'd say that was probably his best season, as the numbers would suggest. And once he got a few injuries and he missed a few games, you could really tell, not just for him but also for Real Madrid. Less trophies around that time. They let Barcelona win La Liga 3 times in a row, but they came good towards the end of his career. They managed to win La Liga again and send him packing happy. So it remains to be seen as to whether Mbappe will choose to leave PSG this summer, at least for Real Madrid. But if it does happen at some point in the future, this is what FM predicts will happen. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've got any ideas of, or other ideas for FM to predict, whether that's players or managers or anything like that. Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel to get all my content when it comes out. Hit the notification bell to stay notified, and I'll see you next time.